Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Pen Habit. I'm Matt Armstrong, and in today's video, we're going back to review another pen from a manufacturer that I reviewed a long time ago, and that is Edison. Now, I bought an Edison Beaumont, one of the first expensive pens I ever got. Back then, I considered anything over $50 expensive. Obviously, if you've watched my videos, you know my sense of value when it comes to pens has been warped a little bit since then. Um, but it was the first expensive pen I ever bought. First over $100, certainly. I liked the Beaumont. It was a beautiful pen, but it was too small for my hand and didn't really fit the way I wrote. I was also really new to pens when I reviewed it and was probably a little bit harsher about the pen than I should have been. Mainly, it came from the fact that I was used to these wood-turned, very heavy metal-lined pens that were 50, 60 grams even, very heavy pens. And I mistakenly associated weight with quality. So when the Beaumont came and it was very, very light, being made of almost completely of acrylic, I just thought, I can't believe I paid $150 for this. This is cheap. I have since come to realize that weight and quality don't mean anything in relationship to each other. In fact, a lot of times you find just the opposite. The heavier a pen is, usually the cheaper and the more clumsy the manufacturing is. Not always, but often. So the Beaumont wasn't a good fit for me. I ended up giving it to my grandmother in an effort to infect her with the fountain pen virus. It worked, by the way. So I'd been Edisonless for a while, and I've always wanted to get another Edison pen. People just rave about them. So I decided it was time for me to go ahead and break down and get another Edison. And in this case, the Edison I got was the Edison Collier. It's kind of the opposite end of the Beaumont. The Beaumont's a very small pen. The Collier is a very large pen, and I have had an interesting experience. So it comes in, cardboard sleeve and a little kind of maroon fake snakeskin pen coffin. Nice Edison logo on the top, and a little bookmark comes with. Nothing spectacular there, but nice presentation, especially if you wanted to give it as a gift. The pen itself is just really a stunning, stunning material. This is the blue steel acrylic, which is a new color to the production line. I think it just came out this year in 2014. I was looking at the persimmon swirl, which is an orangey black swirled pattern, but I ended up not getting that one because I already have a pen that has a really pretty orange and black, orange and dark blue swirled acrylic. So I decided to go with this blue steel, and I'm glad I did. It really is quite a striking material. A lot of shimmer and sheen in that material. Nice rounded top here, pretty standard cigar shaped style pen. The one minor complaint I have about the aesthetics, and I do mean really quite minor, is that in order to get the clip in, they had to turn the top and the barrel or the cap separately and connect them together. Now, you can't really feel the join between the two parts, but they also don't line up with each other, so you can see it. And I wish that it had been a little bit more seamless looking, but like I said, that's a really, really minor complaint. Kind of a triangular shaped clip. You can see it here in profile with a ball on the end. Very firm, very sturdy. Feels nice and solid there. The barrel says Edison Pen Co. Collier on it, and then if you were to make this a whole lot skinnier, this actually looks very similar to a Parker 51 in shape, just much wider. So it comes down almost to a rounded off point here at the end. Really nice, classic shape in an interesting material, which is one of the things I find a lot of Edison pens look like. I look at Edison pens and Franklin Christoph pens, and I put those two pens in very much the same strata of pens. They're both very nice American-made pens, both made out of materials, very high-quality materials with very nice workmanship. The way I look at it is it seems like the Edison Pen Company goes after more classic shapes, but using interesting materials and unique filling systems. Uh, they have, their pump fillers and, pneumatic fillers and things like that. They also have incredible acrylics and hundreds of them to choose from, where Franklin Christoph will generally do more of a unique shape, unique design of the pen, but more standard materials. So black acrylics, whites, golds, reds. You don't see a lot of swirls and unique colors and patterns and things like that. So it just kind of depends on what you like. I like both. They're both excellent pens, but that's kind of an overall trend I've seen between those two pen makers. Traditional shape, it is a screw top cap. And then we come to the nib, stainless steel nib made by Yovo, I believe. And this is a medium nib, standard number 6 size nib. And I really do like the Edison logo, that nib that's been turned into a light bulb design, kind of nifty design. Standard Edison style feed. And I don't know, this looks like ebonite to me, but I don't know that it is. I really should have researched that before I came. It's a nice feed though. Section quite comfortable to hold. It's 10 millimeters, which is kind of, in my mind, the perfect diameter for a grip. The barrel is quite a bit wider. Nice threads here. And actually, in speaking about the threads, that's one thing I did want to mention is I posted on Twitter something that is almost, verging on creepy, but I said that the threads on Edison pens are sexy as hell, was my exact terms. And it's true. I will sit in meetings with this pen and just twist the threads over and over and over again because they are so smooth and mesh together so perfectly. I don't think there's another pen manufacturer out there that makes threads quite as nice as the ones on Edison pens. They're really quite, they're so nicely manufactured. The fit and finish on Edison pens is spectacular. Probably some of the best modern pens being made in terms of fit and finish. Okay, so let's talk specs. As I mentioned, this is a very large pen. It is 131 millimeters uncapped, and it is 152 millimeters capped. Now, this pen can't be posted. I mean, I suppose you could try to shove the cap on and hold it in place with friction. You'd probably end up cracking the cap in doing it. This pen was not designed to be posted, so don't bother posting it. And frankly, unless you've got mammoth hands, you probably won't need to. It fits quite comfortably in my hand here. You can see it's just, fits very, very nicely in my hand. It's quite nice. 10 millimeter on the section, as I mentioned, 14.2 millimeters in the body and 16.4 in the cap. So this is a hefty pen in size, but not in weight. This is really a light pen. Capped, it's 28 grams in weight. Uncapped, it's only 16, and that is with the cartridge or the converter and ink in the pen. So this is a very, very light pen. Now, as I mentioned, if you're one of those people who thinks that weight equals quality, A, you're wrong. B, this is a very light pen. It's very comfortable to use. So as long as you can handle that 10 millimeter section, I don't think you're going to have a problem with this pen, even if you generally prefer smaller pens, because it's so light, it's so well balanced, and the section is so nicely shaped that it feels much narrower than it is as a pen. So I think we're all clear that I like this pen. I like it a lot. Couple things about the writing experience that I'll talk about. I'll show you a little bit more in depth. This is much wetter than was my Beaumont. The flow is quite nice on this pen. It is not scratchy at all, but it does give a bit of feedback, a bit more than I normally like. I have not smoothed this nib yet. I wanted to just show you how it writes as is. I will smooth the nib a little bit more. But like I said, there's no scratchiness at all. It's just that I'll probably polish the interior of the tines just a tiny little bit and get a really, really fine smooth on the exterior of the tines, just to get a nice buttery smooth to go with the wetness of the pen. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'll do the writing sample, and then we will go ahead and wrap up. So here we go. Okay. This is the Edison Collier with a steel medium nib. The ink today is Carandash Grand Canyon, which is a discontinued ink, unfortunately. I have 2 bottles of it left. I ended up giving 1 bottle to my dad, who loved the ink quite a bit. But this is one of those. I just love this ink, and I'm very upset that they don't make it anymore, because nothing in their new line really matches it very much. So paper, as always, Rhodia Dot Pad 80 GSM. So let's do our quote. And that is a quote that I think a lot of us who use pens probably understand quite a bit, because there are a lot of times where I got a whole lot of stuff to do. And what am I doing instead? Writing letters, or writing in my journal, or recording these videos. So, and glad to do it, glad to keep doing it. It's always fun to not do the work I need to be doing. I think I've got dog hair tumbleweeds floating through my house somewhere out there. There's vacuuming that needs to be done. Anyway, I digress. Let's keep doing some writing here. So let's talk wetness. The wetness of the pen is it's decent. It's a nice moderate wetness. It's not too wet, not too dry. I wouldn't mind it being just a touch more wet, but I don't really need it to be any wetter than it is. I'm not going to adjust it. So it's a nice wetness. It's not so wet that it's going to drench your paper. This is a wetness you could use probably even on cheaper paper. In terms of line variation, steel nibs, so there's really not much line variation to coax out of this pen, which is fine. If you really need some flex, Edison sells their pens. You can get an 14 karat gold, actually, I think. You can get a nib made by Richard Binder, which is a flex nib, modern flex nib, that I think they're $125, $150, something like that. I don't remember how much they are, but you can get that instead of the stainless steel or 18 karat nibs that come with these pens. I've not used one of those nibs. I don't know how good they are. But in terms of other writing stuff, as I mentioned, there's a little tiny bit of feedback, a little bit more than I like, but it's not bad at all. It's certainly not scratchy in any direction. I feel a little bit more feedback going this way than I do any of the other methods. But for the most part, yeah, it's a very comfortable writer. It's, because it's got the larger nib, you can hold the pen in a decent place. And the Yovo nibs are pretty consistent. I find that the stainless steel Yovo nibs, whether they're made by or used by Twisby or Edison or the Goulet nibs, which are all made by the same company, they feel very much the same. So they're all pretty high quality nibs. So you know what you're getting if you've tried any of those. I've never tried the Edison 18 karat nibs, so I don't know how those work. Upside down writing. We've got it will write. Very fine line. Yeah, it works. It's not too terribly scratchy. It's it's not. I can't imagine where in the world I would ever need to use a line that fine. That's kind of a needlepoint sized fineness, in my opinion. But if you ever needed to, I suppose you could. So overall, I do like this pen a lot. It's pretty, or it's purdy, as I said on the Google Plus group. It's a pretty pen, beautifully made, nice fit and finish, incredible material. I love this blue steel material. I'm very grateful that the Edison Pen Company does use unique materials and unique acrylics in their pens. I just love that. The pen does have a pretty rank odor from the manufacturing that will dissipate over time, but just be aware if you're sensitive to odors. The first few times you pull this out, it's pretty foul. But that's true of almost every acrylic pen I've ever picked up, any turned acrylic pen. All right, so I think that's going to do it. If you have any questions or comments about this pen, please leave them on the blog post at penhabit.com or on the video. As always, please like or subscribe to the video channel. Social networking links are down below, etc., etc., etc. You've heard the spiel before. That should do it for this video of the Pen Habit. If you have any questions, please let me know, and we will see you here next time. Have a good one. Bye.